This morning we put the whole herd here in this piece. The idea was to take care of the brassicas, the mustard. They are an indicator plant telling us that we have very sandy soil and we want to have a different type of soil. And so we decided to let them eat these brassicas and then pass the plants through the rumen, and what comes out in the back is then pre-processed biomass that should then improve how our soil is structured. And you can see there in the background it is a lot more yellower than where they have been grazing. And we put three strands of polywire there, and that has kept them here in this area. So that works well. And in a couple of minutes they will leave this area. Now unfortunately the problem with the afternoon shows up, because the guys will leave and nobody will come back and I will be here alone. I'm not complaining, I'm just reminding us all of the challenge. So we will remove the fence that we have there in the back, and then they are free to roam the whole area, and maybe tomorrow we will concentrate them again. We have grazed here in this area and have not received any rain so far, and the forecast also does not mention for the next 10 days any rain, but I think it's looking pretty good. So if I zoom in a little bit, and by the way, the beep that you might hear is from a device in my pocket which tells me that the fence there where I'm standing in front of is hot. So we all carry such a thing just to know that the wire is hot. So if I zoom in here, you can see how this looks like. And even without rain, it is holding up and continues to grow. And we did have the animals in here for longer than just an hour or so. It was overnight. This here is the field of our neighbor, the one who has a tractor and who plowed and seeded and harvested oats in the very beginning, in spring after seeding them in autumn. And they had a lot of animals here, and this is how it looks like today. And as you can see, this is not better than what we have, to put it this way. So I think the method that we are applying does work. Some of you who have been following for a while will certainly remember that we had this issue with the authorities, and they came in and removed the fence that we did not build and tried to fine us. They have not so far, and our lawyer is still working on that to get final confirmation that there will be no fine, because we didn't do anything. When we bought this place, the fence was there, so how can we be responsible? That would not work. You cannot punish someone who hasn't done anything. That would be, in the case of Spain, even against the Spanish constitution, like our lawyer explained to the authority. So now the news is, and that is why I'm standing here, the owners to the land there on the other side, they let us know that they are going to build the fence again. This time 10 meters away from the high water mark. Because they understood that it was their fence that got destroyed. So it's even better. The authorities attacked us and claimed that we had built something that is illegal, but it was actually the neighbor who did this a very long time ago. And now that they heard about this issue, they decided to build their own fence again the same way as it was before. So 10 meters from the high water mark, so it's basically there where the post is standing, that's kind of the high water mark, and then 10 meters to the left. And the place in between, so what is then to the right of that fence, is not ours. It is the public piece, because it's a public waterway. And then 5 meters from the high water mark on our side, our land will begin. So they built the fence definitely on their land, which is beginning from 5 meters, but they add 5 meters more so that nobody can have any doubt about that the fence is on their land. So that's perfect. And the other thing that I also want to mention is all these plants here in the water, which are great to have, and I forgot the English name, I think it's cattail. This stuff only grows here where we have been grazing. I don't know why. Well, it grows also a little bit here outside, because the fence was there between that fence post and the one on the other side, there between the rocks. But it's very curious. It is only here where we had been grazing. And I don't know why. But certainly, grazing in a riparian area is a very good thing, and it used to be the case all over until these areas got destroyed. I'm talking about things that people talk about in Germany and elsewhere in Europe, where they want to restore the riparian areas and here and there use them for grazing. Of course, it's an ongoing conversation between grazers and conservationists, but it's an interesting discussion to follow. And if I zoom in a little bit, I cannot go there at the moment because I have something else that I need to do. So if you follow that creek over there on the other side, you don't see the same plants. And I can tell you that there are none. So it's pretty curious that here in this area we do have these cattails. And that fence is supposed to be built sometime this year. They have asked the authorities to give them a permit, because that of course is required, and then it will happen. And once that is all done and the fence exists, we will then graze this again, like we did before. So we continue with our maintenance and public service, which it essentially is, because this is a public waterway and it is more healthy and provides habitat to wildlife because we have been grazing it in a controlled way. Instead of attacking us, they should applaud and pay us. But okay, that will never happen. This here is an A6, and it's a very curious thing to note. You can see that there are some grasses that have gone to seed. So you can see the seed heads. And also, this is in the old straw. It is definitely not from the straw, because we have it elsewhere where there is no straw. So we do have a bunch of things that have gone to seed pretty early. This is right next to it. And as you can see, this cannot be from straw. Some of you were also asking about the dandelions. So here we have them. Right under this oak tree, there are dandelions. This whole area does have some of them, but it's not all over the place. And you certainly have also seen that there are grasses with a seed head. I will try to find a few more to also show you them. And the other thing that happens now is we get flowers. So this typical flower has shown up in many places, and also here on the other side. And speaking about the other side, so here on the other side where the neighbor is, where the sheep are constantly grazing, there is not so much going on. I do see something there. Let's zoom in and have a look to find out what that might be. So there we have it. While filming out in the field, that wasn't obvious, but now in the recording I can see these are just stones. But overall this looks quite different, and all these thistles, they will also regrow in a little while. While here on our end, it looks much nicer, I think. And keep in mind, the idea is still there to put some lavender here along the road, because kind of a non-productive spot. And now that we are removing some of the animals in order to save us some time with their needs, that frees up time to do other things. And chicken are a lot easier to manage, so we should have time for doing more plant-oriented stuff. And hopefully that will then also include things like the lavender, because it would be a very nice addition and has a potential for a product, the essential oil, and it won't go bad like fresh meat or something like that. Does not mean that we are abandoning anything related to animals. No. And chicken are animal too. It's just that we are taking a little detour in order to solve a few problems, because we learned that direct sale of meat or even pork is kind of difficult for us, because we don't have the permit to process. So we don't have our own slaughterhouse, and we cannot slaughter the animals on site. It is absolutely forbidden, huge fine, and the police will come and will shut us down. So we cannot risk this. So we need to go through the steps, and then we come back to the topic. And we will build something, but it will be the small slaughterhouse for poultry, and then we ask for a permit to extend this to larger animals like pigs. And then we are in the game, I hope. Today we were wondering what's going on here. So this is A7, where we had the turnips, the daikon radish, and also the giant cabbage seeded. And as you can see, there are seed heads. So something interesting is happening here, because the yellow seed heads, this is not the mustard. This is now a different type of brassica. And you can also see it here. Let me zoom in there a little bit, so it becomes better to see. So this is from what we seeded. And there's more. So if I walk along, so here, that's the regular mustard. It's a lot thinner and finer. And over here, there's also a different color in the mix. So here we do have the other type of flower head, and this, I would think, is the giant cabbage that is flowering. So that means all these are now going into the reproductive phase, and we did actually did a little test. So we took one out of the daikon radishes, and they were pretty small, like a finger, not as you would expect. So they did not grow as much as I was hoping for. And now there is no rain, and some of the stuff goes to seed. So today we thought about how to proceed, and our conclusion is, we wanted to bring the pigs in here. So our conclusion is that we will feed the pigs for 2 more weeks elsewhere where they currently are, that is City 1, and then we will bring them in here while we finish the installation of the irrigation system. It's going to be drip irrigation, and then we will bring the pigs in here. Of course, the drip lines will not be there. They will be rolled up. But we did a test and then rolled them up. So the pigs will harvest. And they will eat whatever is there. There is something. And the whole point is we want them to have the whole soil uprooted again. And then we will seed. We have already the bags for that. And let then the sun hemp and the sunflower and other things that we have grow here while there is some irrigation. And that should give us then some forage for later. And it will also help to continue the restoration effort, because later this is going to be a Miyawaki forest, and I'm counting on the announced visit from the people who belong to Life Terra, the European Union organization, that said we will give you trees and also a budget for planting them. So hopefully this will all work out. That of course is an activity for autumn, when the rain comes back. And in between we improve the soil with the help of those 14 pigs and the plants that they help us seed. So this is as it is, and in about 2 weeks it should then change, and drastically. So I promised to show you another place where we have seed heads, and this is here in A10, and as you can see, this is the area. Under that tree there are seed heads, and there's definitely no straw. So these are the seed heads from the grasses. You can see this very clearly. So this must be a cold season grass that now has gone into the reproductive phase, wants to produce seed, and hopefully some of them will germinate instead of becoming bird feed or ant feed. Of course, these seeds will then germinate in autumn when there is rainfall again. So they need to be stored in the soil somehow over summer. And yeah, I talked about this quite a bit, but this is nature's way, and nature does not use a seed drill. So somehow it works. Just as a little bit curious thing, and to illustrate what the situation is. So you see what date is today. So we are at the end of March. The Andalusian sun is already very, very hot, and I can feel it burning in my back. Also the ambient temperature is just 22 centigrades. And now let's have a look at this here. So this is our soil. Let me get my shadow out of the way and show you. So this is how it looks like. So elsewhere that would be considered sand. You can find it on a beach. And right next to it we have that. And this area has been void of plants after the excavator that built this platform left, and since then plants have been establishing themselves. And of course we bring the horses here for some grazing, and then of course the manure. So this area gets better every year since we are doing this. And soon we will learn whether these Paulovnia tomentosa trees, that one here and this one, have survived and will continue growing. They might. Let's have a closer look. It might be too early. Let's see if there something is developing. So we'll see whether this is dead or not. There was another one over here, which is why I'm turning around, but that one might be dead. Because the last time in summer we tried to irrigate, and we did this, but nobody noticed that the water line got disconnected somewhere over there, and the water was silently flowing down that slope instead of coming to here. So we definitely need to be more careful with these kind of things. The horses continue with their maintenance job. The idea is to graze this down well, like we would do it with a machine, but that way it is more organic, so to say, and does not cost anything, and we don't have to buy feed. So it's a win-win-win thing. And the reason why I'm coming here is I wanted to show you that one and only Tagasaste plant. Because it seems to be still there, and there's also a Palovnia, which definitely is resprouting. So you can see it. So this one is alive. At the top it looks not so good, but it's coming back from below, and that's a very positive thing. So next to it, there in that little cage, there is what's supposedly a Tagasaste. It's a shrub, not a tree. So that probably explains why it looks the way it looks. So we let it be and observe. I have not done any effort to germinate the other Tagasaste seeds that I have. There's so much else going on, and this would now not really help a lot. But I did something else. You see all the nettles. So here in this area, all the nettles have shown up right in front of me also, and I hope I still have it. I will show you something that artificial intelligence is now telling us. So that is a very interesting thing, and we are in the 21st century. That means we do have real satellite internet, like with that here, that's a Starlink antenna. And then we have tools, large language models, and they are very helpful. So we started to use them to answer some questions instead of searching and reading and searching some more and trying to understand, and oh, this is the wrong text and so on, or this is an advertisement website, we are not really interested in learning what someone is offering, etc. We just ask a question and we get a very good explanation and summary. Of course, this all has to be treated with a grain of salt, because the information can be wrong. But as long as you know something enough to be dangerous about a topic, you can certainly figure out if something is for real or fake. And so we started to use this. And when I say we started to use it, so that means I use it, and I either ask straight away in Spanish, or I do a dialogue in English and then ask for a translation, and then I share the result, so that the guys get a good explanation about something, like the mustards here or the nettles.